In today's video, I've compiled 6 dislikes that I do not like about bookkeeping and 6 things I like about bookkeeping. And I was actually kind of surprised that I haven't made this video yet. But my name is Morgan from FinePoints.biz, and my goal is to help you get organized. I have a new video on bookkeeping every single week, so make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. If you're thinking about becoming a bookkeeper, check out my free masterclass, Is Bookkeeping Right for You? And I also have a chart you can download that has basically the bookkeeping process step by step. So both those things are linked down in the description box. All right, so getting right into the 6, starting with my likes. So the first thing I really like is the organization, which you can probably imagine because my channel is kind of based around helping you get organized. So you know that's something I enjoy. But specifically with bookkeeping, the organization for me comes in just, okay, so you're in the bank feeds and you're categorizing all these transactions. It's pretty automated for you. QuickBooks remembers a lot of the vendors and the categories. So you're categorizing them all, and then they're in QuickBooks and you have a clean slate. So that looks so nice. Your to-do list is done, and then you get to reconcile, and reconciling is very satisfying. You probably know if you're a bookkeeper, because you put in the total and it checks off all the things from that month, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you have all of the things accounted for, and it gives you a big green check mark and says the month is perfectly reconciled. So I used to be a copy editor, and the thing that was slightly frustrating about that is you never really knew when something was perfect. You didn't have that green check mark that was there are 100% no errors, it's perfect. As a copy editor, you're always like, oh, did I miss something? So as a bookkeeper, I love that organization piece. All right, the next thing I wrote down is pulling reports. So I don't know if people find this boring sometimes, but I really like just thinking, going into the QuickBooks reports section and thinking about which reports are going to help my client out the most. What information do I want to present to them, and how can I do it in a way that is most helpful for them? So do I want to compare it to last year? Do I want to compare it to the budget? Do I want to, break it down by month? Do I want to break down the income streams? How do I want to present all their financial information? That's really fun for me, thinking through that. And number 3, I don't know, it's kind of random, but it's changing the chart of accounts. So I don't know if other bookkeepers like this, but I really enjoy thinking about my profit and loss and how I want it set up and how I want the different accounts to look. So maybe I want to group certain things together. So if it's a long profit and loss, I want to group together all the employee stuff. So all their healthcare, all of their wages, any reimbursements, anything that has to do with employees goes in one section of my chart of accounts, and then I have sub-accounts under that. And then maybe another section is all 1099 contractors. So it's easy to understand what that section means and kind of analyze the data that way. So I have a video all about the chart of accounts and what it is and how to kind of tweak it like that if you are interested. But that's just really satisfying to me. I think every new client, I'll do that after I kind of get into their business for a while. And then every so often I'll do it, maybe not once a year, but at certain times if it needs a little tune-up, then I kind of like that, and it just creates a really nice, fresh, organized profit and loss statement. Number 4 is creating efficient processes. So I really can't stand it when things aren't efficient. So I'm trying to always make them as efficient as possible. And anytime I can create a new system that helps the business thrive, I love that. I feel very accomplished. I feel like I'm helping out. I feel like I'm not wasting my time or anyone else's time. So maybe it's creating a Google spreadsheet that has certain data, like income or deposits or something. Or maybe it's figuring out an easier way to get data from my client. Maybe it's using an outside source, an outside app, or maybe it's something through QuickBooks or using QuickBooks communication tools that are in there. So anything I can do to help make things more efficient, I love that part of my job. 5 is feeling helpful. I really do just get satisfaction from feeling like a helpful presence to my clients. There are definitely times you can feel like a bookkeeping job is thankless because, you might be hounding people to get stuff. But overall, I do feel the sense that I am making someone's life better, making it more organized, helping them have a clearer picture of their finances. And I think ongoing, one of my goals is going to be to try to work on this even more and kind of work into an advisory role as a bookkeeper. So I know there's different classes you can take on that, even inside QuickBooks, where you take your free Pro Advisor training. Here's my video on that. There's a section I just saw called advising or something like that. So The more I can learn about that, the more that I feel like I'm a valuable asset to my clients. All right, and the last thing I love about bookkeeping, which you hear me talk about a lot, is just the business model and how easy it is and how well it works. Check out my free masterclass, Is Bookkeeping Right for You, where I go into more detail about this. Just really rapid fire. The things are, it's a flexible schedule, it's a flexible location, you can have a flexible size, like you can expand or get smaller. It's low startup costs, high earning potential. You don't need an advanced degree to do bookkeeping. You're in control of what clients you take. Job security in the fact that if you have multiple clients and one fires you, you don't lose all of your income. And then finally, there is a need for bookkeepers. All right, and then the juicy part, my bookkeeper dislikes. So the first one is it can be tedious at times. Sometimes there are just things that you have to do, like manual data entry. And maybe you have a big stack or a big spreadsheet full of stuff that you just have to enter in QuickBooks. And there's not a way to get around it. Sometimes you can import spreadsheets, but there can be tedious times to bookkeeping. And kind of just a small caveat to that, when I first started, I actually thought like categorizing bank feeds was pretty tedious, but then I've just learned to enjoy it. So I think sometimes when you're starting out, you can have one impression of something, and then as you kind of learn the systems and the shortcuts, it's not as bad as you thought. But there are some times it's tedious, which I do not like. All right, number 2 is the constant adaptation. So as a bookkeeper, you are dealing with a lot of technology. So that is changing every year constantly. And then with every new client, you are learning and changing constantly. And maybe you think that's a good thing. And I feel like as I get older, I just like it when I know something and I have a really good grasp of it. And I don't like the feeling of always like having to like, okay, I have to stay up with this new app. I have to see what changes are in QuickBooks now. I have to, learn this whole new process for a new client. And of course, some of that is invigorating and fun, but I find there's a lot of that in bookkeeping. I think just because now it is so technology driven and there's a lot of apps, that are options and you kind of have to sort through those apps and different people have different opinions. So there's a lot of adaptation that you need to have. All right, my next 3 are kind of related back to the tedium part, like anything tedious I don't like. So finding and fixing a mistake. So say for some reason my bank account does not reconcile. It is a pain to go back and figure out why. Like, are there some checks that were input wrong? Did something get in there twice? All of that I know is part of my job and it happens and it's kind of inevitable again. But, maybe I'm like, oh, I can finish this reconciliation in like the next 5 minutes and then I'll be done. But then I'm like, oh, dang it, there was like some kind of mistake or problem that I have to investigate and fix. And sometimes it's not always clear exactly right away what it is. So you have to kind of be a sleuth and go figure it out. All right, number 4 is cleanups. I've been mentioning this recently because I feel like I just had like this self-realization that a lot of bookkeepers do what we call cleanups. So it's like when someone's books are really messy and outdated, then you go back through all their old data and like organize it and clean it up and maybe reconcile their old accounts for the past few years. I don't really like doing that. I will do it and I have done it, but my like sweet spot is kind of getting to know a client and getting their process down to a T and doing it really fast and efficient. You're learning the client's business and kind of chaos that you're like sorting through. So that's not my favorite. All right, and number 5 is receipt categorization. So I have a part 1 and a part 2 video all about this that I'll leave up there. So I do have a lot to say about receipts, but I do find it time consuming and it's not something I really enjoy doing. And if a client did want me to do it, I would, charge a higher rate, a pretty substantial rate for that receipt organization, because it does take a lot of time. It's a lot of kind of like comparing and matching things depending on what the tasks are. But that is something I dislike about bookkeeping. All right, number 6 is marketing and onboarding. And again, as I'm talking, I'm just kind of realizing that I just like things when I already know how to do it. Maybe everyone's like that to some extent, and some people more than others. Marketing, I do it and I can. It's not my favorite. And then onboarding, I like meeting people and I like going out and getting to know their business and, kind of finding their pain points and stuff. But it's just more work up front and it's a little more unpredictable. And that is one thing I actually like about bookkeeping is once your schedule is full, you don't really need to be marketing all the time because theoretically those clients are going to stick around for a while. So don't forget to check out my website, FinePoints.biz, for all of my free resources to help you start your bookkeeping business, decide if you're going to be a bookkeeper, and help you along the path to bookkeeping. Subscribe for a video every Tuesday. I would love to see you here each week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care.